All right, we're live. That was quick. That was like instant live.
Nice.
Yep.
So how's it going, Chuck?
Yeah, I got on and I sent this link to John. Josh, you weren't in the chat yet, so I guess I'll have to again. But and for people who are listening, the URL that I'm sending them is podwrench.com/podcasts. And what it is, I got all this working finally. And I've been talking about this for a few weeks, but it's a podcast directory for the podcasting software that I've been working on. And so it lists all the shows. I think I probably am going to need to make like the artwork and title and stuff just link to the sponsorship page. But if you click on it, you get a description of the show, and then it shows you which sponsorship spots are available on upcoming episodes.
Nice. And
it lists the upcoming episodes that I know we have coming up. So we haven't.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at it. Sorry, this is really cool.
Yeah.
We haven't recorded all of these, but they're on the schedule, and so I'm just planning on them. I'm trying to decide if I want to reorder them based on like how popular the shows are, or how much they cost, or how much are available. But right now it's just alphabetical. But yeah, so if you go click on like Ruby Rogues, it shows episodes 334 through 338, and then it shows 3 weeks of TBD because I don't know what those are going to be yet. And then 342 is going to be with DHH, who created Rails.
Nice.
So so that's in there, and I'm guessing that if anyone is trying to reach Ruby folks, and they see that there, they'll probably snap up those sponsorships pretty darn fast.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, really good.
Anyway, I think it'll really help things roll that way. And then I just found out, I was talking to John, and just out of curiosity, I did a Google search for Libsyn API and Blueberry API. And it turns out that Blueberry does have an API for their podcast statistics.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. So they just have a REST API. So I'm probably just going to tie into that instead of building my own stats tracking stuff. And then I'm going to see Rob Walsh from Libsyn at Microsoft Connect, probably. He's been at most of the other Microsoft events that they've invited me to. So I'm probably going to talk to him and say, hey, look, this is what I'm building. Is there an API that nobody knows about that I can get the stats from? Because what would be nice is if I could just say, look, use one of these statistics systems, to track your downloads, and then we'll just pull it in and put it into the reports for you.
Very cool.
So anyway, I'm really excited about it. There are a couple of quirks with it that I've got to figure out. So for right now, for example, if you sponsor one of the TBD episodes, there's not actually a corresponding episode in the system.
Oh, right.
And so it's just a sponsorship that's attached to that publication date. And so if I create an episode there, I need it to tie in right with that pub date. So I'm working on that. The other thing is that if I don't know, I keep going back and forth as to whether or not I want to do this, but it has clarified a whole bunch of stuff for me with the sponsorships. So one thing that it clarified, for example, is I was putting in React Native Radio, and I realized that they haven't been releasing every week, and so I wasn't super comfortable with, putting in, a weekly schedule for people to pick up sponsorships, because I'm going to have to keep making it up to them. So I reached out to the host of that show and said, hey, let's talk and let's see what the deal is here, and then see if I can, get some kind of guarantee of regularity. I mean, even if it's only twice a month, at least there's that, right?
Right. Yeah, because you can depend. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So then I can sell sponsorships. It's kind of hard to sell sponsorships if I don't know when they're coming out. The other thing is that you're kind of like a pimp. Yeah, I guess.
Kind of, but you're kind of like a pimp. You're like, hey, what's going on with your, I don't know, what are you doing over there? You got to you got to work it more, girl. Like, what's going on? I'm not seeing the money coming in. You got to get out there.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because a lot of it ties in with the production, right? Because the production is what drives the inventory for the sponsorship. So, I've also, some of the shows have missed a week here or there. And so it's also forced me to look at it and go, okay, I've got to make good episodes for the sponsors on those. Yeah. So I think that's one feature that I'm going to wind up building in sooner rather than later, but it wasn't like critical for the MVP. But then just the overall production pipeline. And then as far as the shows having guests scheduled out for a ways, Adventures in Angular, I think we're scheduled out for 3 weeks. So I need to go start pounding the pavement to find people for that. And so that's the other thing that it helped call out. But if I can get the production part of it tracked, then all the stuff that I wish was going on around the show's production, like getting the guests to share the episodes they were in, or collecting information beforehand, or having all the information in one place so that when Eric edits the episode, he has links and stuff for the show notes. Because right now it winds up in Skype, and I don't always remember to provide it. And so if I could just build all that in so that they can sign in as a host and then just add something to the stream as it goes, then Eric can just pull all that stuff over. And then if I start getting transcripts and stuff, again, we can put spellings for weird terms and stuff in there as well.
Exactly.
And make all that happen. And so I think I'm just going to turn this into the tool that I want. And then I'm trying to decide, I'm going to use it for a while, obviously, before I let people sign up for it. But I'm trying to decide at this point, if I do offer it as a service, how do I bill for it? So is it like a monthly charge, or, some money's going to have to come out of what they get when they have people pay for sponsorships through the system, because I have to pay processing fees and stuff.
Well, there's people usually make mistakes when they, I'm getting a bit of an echo. I don't know where it's come from. It might be, oh, okay. They make mistake. The biggest mistake that you can make in any kind of business like this is to charge just a monthly fee and not charge transaction. Based on, you want to charge based on the growth of your customers, because you're going to have a 90-10 curve here where the 10% of your customers are going to produce 90% of the volume of the sponsorship in dollars. But at the same time, because it's going to be it's probably going to be like more like a 95-5, really. Like it's going to be a very, very small amount that's going to produce most of the sponsorship and podcast downloads. I would say also that you want to charge a minimum monthly fee as well. So I think that's kind of the best way, like to have a really cheap monthly fee just to use the service, because then you can advertise to beginning podcasts. Like you can say, here, you want to advertise, your advertising taken care of. You have a system, and maybe you charge a really small fee, like 10 or $20 a month, and 90% of your customers are paying that. And then that small percentage of people that actually get sponsorships and of significant dollars, you've got some small percentage that you're taking. Maybe you're taking 10% of their sponsorship money there. I think that's a reasonable amount. Like I would be willing to pay that for sure to use the service. If not only are you providing the software, but you're also it's a marketplace where sponsors are specifically going there to look at shows and browse them, right? Because so I think you want to do both of those things, and that's because I think I see a lot of people that do one or the other.
Yeah, it's like DPD.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Well, one other thing,
we're doing like 16 or 6 figures, easily 6 figures a year multiple six figures a year through them, and they were getting like $20 a month.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just-
Well, one other thing that I've thought about with that is instead of saying, okay, what do you regularly charge for the, the sponsorship?
Mhm.
Maybe it's, what do you want your cut to be? And then I add the 20% after that or something like that. I don't know.
Like, what do you mean by that? Like what?
So instead of setting the price, so
uh-huh.
let's say it's $1,000 sponsorship.
Right.
They say, your cost is $1,000, like for me. So it costs me $1,000. I'll pay them $1,000, and then I tack another 20% on. So in the marketplace, it says
yeah,
$1,200.
I wouldn't do that. I like just my off the cuff thought is that makes it sounds good, but it ends up offloading the confusion onto the consumer.
That's
Right.
true.
And there's gonna be like back and forth. Oh,
Yeah.
I paid $1,200. Well, I only got 1,000. Like, so this is very Upwork does something kind of similar to this, and it's extremely confusing. In my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if they set the price, then I can just put something in there that says, we take our 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like eBay and Amazon do when you sell stuff. Like they show you what you're actually gonna make. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Buy sell ads does this exact thing right now. Essentially, right? It's very similar, except it's display advertising. So there's and there so I think that's a pretty good model. Except buy sell ads doesn't charge just to use the service, but the reason why is because their service isn't going to be as fast. Yours is a podcasting tool set in addition,
Right.
So I think
right.
this is really good. Like, but you've got to get it working really good for yourself first before I wouldn't even try and expand this out yet until you've got this thing running really well.
No, there are definitely corner cases on this that I've got to figure out first.
What would be super cool on here? At the top of this, choose which episodes to sponsor. You had a row that said back catalog, and it was like 10,000 impressions, 20,000 impressions.
Yeah.
The other thing that would be cool, or the other way that would be cool, would be like sponsor the most popular back episodes, where you had like a counter, and it was like this episode got 10,000 downloads last month, even though it's old, and then you just have a buy now button, and you could build that, and then when somebody actually buys it, go back and figure out how to do the technical piece of actually going into that episode and editing it and updating the ads.
Yeah, that might be interesting. What I may do is I may talk to Eric or, somebody else. I don't know how interested he is, and I know he's pretty busy with all the folks that he's editing shows for, but just essentially get, maybe those top 10 for right now, and then just say, sponsor the top 10, back catalog episodes.
Right.
And then I can just splice it in.
The other thing you'll have to watch with this is you'll have to be real careful, because what you'll want to do is you won't want to start, when people sponsor new episodes, you'll want to start having some kind of fine print that says that their sponsorship is for a certain amount of time that it'll be in this episode, not in perpetuity. Because if they assume in perpetuity, because you might have some backlash with some of your episodes already. Like if you do your top 10 episodes, if they're getting a lot of downloads and the sponsors are seeing clicks that are coming through those, and then all of a sudden you take it out and you replace it with a new sponsorship, they're going to notice, and they're probably not going to be happy. So I would make sure that you set yourself up for the future by making sure that sponsorships are, that you've got some kind of fine print there. Call it out because it's not a big deal, because for most it's not going to matter, but I could see a potential problem there, just with your existing ones. I would still do it and then apologize. Like maybe no one will say anything, but if someone does say something, you may have to figure out how to resolve that. So
yeah, well, the thing is that, and I have a few sponsors that I've, how do I want to put this nicely? I've screwed stuff up for. And it wasn't necessarily that they got ripped off, but I didn't take care of them the way that I should have. And so I'm planning on building in a feature where I can actually just give them credit.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, hey, look, you know,
Oh yeah, that's cool.
you're going to get, you know, basically $3,000 worth of credit,
Yeah.
or how, you know, however
Yeah. So
much I need
you'd
to
have a
make.
one-time hit potentially if you did this, where you'd get maybe 2 or 3 people come, and then you just give them credit.
Yep.
Yep,
I
I
just
like
turn around
that.
and say, look, you know what? This is what's going on now. I have some sponsors that aren't even in business anymore. And I
Yep.
feel like, you know, I may as well use that inventory to help other companies. So here's the deal. I feel like, you know, the loss of traffic that you're going to have is probably going to amount to about this much traffic over the next while. And
Yeah.
so since the new episodes get way more downloads than the past episodes anyway, you know, here's basically a compensation where you get into the current
And
episodes.
you could restrict that to remnant space too, potentially.
Yeah. That's
know,
true. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you could basically give them unsold space that's going to go to waste. So
Right.
Yeah.
So,
mhm.
so basically they get, you know, that much worth out of anything that's not filled a week before the episode goes live or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is huge. This is a really good idea. I mean, the back catalog essentially, I mean, if you can get this implemented, it's like free money. It's like
Yeah.
bonus money. I mean, it costs you almost nothing. I mean, once you get the system into over, like, but you can hire someone to do this for extremely cheap to just go and update the episode. I mean, that's going to be simple. And eventually you could even automate that system to some degree. Although I'm not sure, I wouldn't do that until you're making a lot of money from this. And then I would just
That's
pay
true.
someone to automate that system. But yeah, this is bonus. This is like finding, you know, money in your couch cushions, right? This is like this is the best possible thing that you can when you can do something like that. So
This is kind of like how we are able to go into all the YouTube videos with the description campaigns and update like we have, we got, you know, we just ticked over 10 million. We've had 10 million views on the channel. So, you know, we can go back and just take all that, collect all that traffic and stick something in the top of the description that's going to point people at a specific place that's relevant for us right now. So,
yep. Well, and it was funny because I think I went on one of the Facebook groups for podcasters, and I asked about, you know, backlog insertion, and I guess Libsyn does it. I didn't realize that, but Libsyn does automatic backlog insertion, and I don't know what that costs, or if you can only use advertisers from their network or whatever, because they go and help people find advertisers, but
they pay pennies on the dollar, I think.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
So,
but you also have to realize that I think it's like 80% of the downloads happen within the first 4 or 5 days. Of the episode being released, and so I mean, when you're talking about it, it is pennies that you're talking about. It's just that with DevChat.tv, I mean, I've got thousands of back episodes, and so we're talking about thousands of dollars that I could be bringing to the network with it. You know, where if somebody has a couple hundred episodes, it's not something that's really necessarily worth doing. But I also like the idea of essentially having somebody on standby where they just go in and they pull the old ads and then put the new ads in. And so they just go hack it out and make it work. So anyway, could be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, so I'm excited about this. At this point, I'm going to solve some of these corner cases, and then I still haven't quite built in the automation for like gathering the banners and the talking points or the ad read scripts or anything like that. But the majority of that is essentially like a page where all of that shows up, and a page where you can go edit that stuff. A little bit of image resizing, which is really stupid simple with Ruby on Rails. And then, in fact, I'm already doing it with podcast artwork. So it's just, these are different sizes. And then the rest of, and then making it so that I can embed the banners and stuff onto the website without actually having to change them every week. So yeah, so I'm going to be chasing some of that down. I'm probably going to also email. Linode's really the only one that I have to email, but just let them know, hey, look, these shows have missed, this many weeks, so I'm just going to add them on to the end of your sponsorship, and I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably going to go to some of these other sponsors that I've messed stuff up with and say, hey, look, I'm doing something new. I know I screwed up. Here's a few weeks worth of credits. Go do your worst.
Yep. Yeah. I like that. That's good. That'll get you to potentially re-onboard some of those sponsors that were pissed off. And so, yeah. And and they can do it at their own convenience. It's not, this is a real good idea. So,
well, the other thing is that, so my friend Eric, who's doing codesponsor.io, I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but it's definitely worth looking into. What
is that GitHub?
What?
GitHub projects?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So anyway, he's on Ruby Rogues, so he's been saying, oh, well, if you're, thanks for sponsoring us. Have you thought about sponsoring Ruby Rogues? And he's had a few people basically tell him, how I'd messed their sponsorship up. And then he said, well, if Chuck built the system and then he basically described what I've been working on, would you come back? And he had 2 or 3 of them that gave him firm commits.
Nice.
Come back. So I really do just need to go and, push those buttons and pull the trigger. And then I think the next big project that I have is just redoing the layout on devchat.tv so that I can maximize a lot of this traffic, both for sponsorship so that they pay off for them so they keep coming back, and for my own stuff, whatever I wind up doing there. So anyway. And then I sent out some emails this week about finding a job stuff because, I've just been thinking about it. And it turns out that I sent out a whole bunch of those emails to people who signed up for the Ruby Dev Summit. And they're like, oh, so you think that since I signed up for your conference, you can just email me now? And I'm like, oh, crap. I didn't mean to include those people yet. I wanted to give them kind of a soft onboarding first.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there was no harm, no foul, because at least one of the emails that I got did not have an active link in it.
Yeah, I got an email about that too.
I figured that I was gonna reply, but I'm like, you know what? Chuck probably has 30 replies in his inbox about this right now. I think he knows. I think he knows.
Yeah, I'm just gonna send an email out on Monday and just basically say, hey. Yeah.
Like in all caps, click here to get the course. And then it had like 2 arrows, and I was like on my phone, I was like, I don't think that's a link. Click.
Nope,
click,
not a link.
Click. Nope, not a link.
Well, the thing is too, like, how many people actually emailed you back and said,
probably a dozen.
Oh, really? That many people?
Yeah.
Dang. That's weird. You would think that but how many people were there that were signed up that got the emails from the...
About 15,000.
About 15,000. Okay, so, I don't know. I mean,
so I'll send the email out next week, and then I'll send an apology email to the Ruby Dev Summit folks and say, hey, I'm sorry. I was gonna.
Don't apologize.
No, don't apologize.
Never apologize.
Yeah, because you're just.
Well, then I'll just send them out hey, thanks for coming to the conference. Here's some other Ruby stuff you're probably interested in.
Yeah, I mean, like you didn't. I mean, you honestly
soft
like
onboard them that way.
It would be perfectly fine for you to have done what you did. Like, there's nothing unethical you didn't need to do it, but there's not anything wrong with it at all. So
that's true. They did give me their email.
Yeah, it's not like you leaked their data or something to some nefarious third party or anything. So I wouldn't sweat it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, those emails weren't my best copywriting work, but I was exhausted.
Okay, I thought that. So I'm curious. I'm curious how you're doing with this, but there was. I thought that let me see. First one I thought was especially good.
The first one was good. The last one that I sent yesterday was not as good.
The resume that got me hired the same day I got laid off. I really liked that one. Yeah, so the part where I was like, Chuck, was that you went into, let me see if it was this one or the first one. It was the resume that got me hired email, and it started off great, and then you started to do way too much teaching. There was way too much. There was way too much stuff in there, and people just people were like, "Oh, okay, I need to go implement this, and then I'll think about this course. It sounds pretty cool, but I'll think about it maybe later."
Yeah, that's good.
But the story was really good, though.
Yep. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. But yeah, anyway, I've got way too many irons in the fire right now, and so I'm trying to figure out how to balance this out.
How did that, have you made any sales on that so far? Is this a launch?
Yeah.
Okay. And nothing so far?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't actually looked.
I thought the second email was good too. How to make your resume twice as effective, where you talked about this one would have been a good one for a story as well.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a story and then I just sent it.
Yeah, you were tired, so that's cool, and that's why there's no link.
I'm borderline burned out. It's
probably didn't help your sales, Chuck.
No, probably not.
Pro tip there. Pro tip.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I'll send you the bill.
Make the links work. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of what I'm talking about with the, you can't half-ass this stuff. You've really got to be. So we've done some affiliate promotions in the past where we sent out a couple emails and really nothing, didn't go anywhere. So this week I am planning. We're doing an all-out blitz on Interview Cake.
Yeah.
That's the product from Parker, who we met at MicroConf, and it's fantastic. I really like it. John really likes it. We're kind of wondering if there's an affiliate. Is affiliate marketing even a realistic thing that we can do, right? So I put together for next week. I talked to Parker. I got him to give me a good, an actual discount on the product. Mm-hmm. So we're not just sending people to it. We're actually I'm making it a limited time offer and we're doing 7 emails in 3 days. So it's basically like the same thing we would do for one of our products with a sale or a small launch. Mm-hmm. And if this doesn't work, I know that I've really given it my all on this. If it works, I'm thinking that we could sell anywhere between 50 and 500 seats to the software licenses. Right. So if it's kind of in the middle of that or toward the higher end, then I'm just going to make this an evergreen thing, and maybe once a quarter I'll just rerun it to anyone who hasn't gone through it already. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you really you can't so if I had just done 1 or 2 emails, I actually had tested before. I put 1,000 people through a sequence that was just 2 emails with no scarcity just to see what happened, and nothing. We got 1 sale out of it, and so you really can't. You have to go all out on this stuff, and if you're gonna launch what's the price point on the course?
It's $500.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's got to be like a 2-week long.
Yeah.
Beat the drum,
because I'm gonna I'm hitting it again next week. So
okay, yeah, I mean it's got to, and there's got to be some legit scarcity in there.
The course starts on November 6th, so.
Well, there you go. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
And so Monday is going to be, hey, I didn't put the link in. Here's the link. Here's what the course is. It starts next Monday, so yeah.
Cool. Yeah, when I did my my course last year, I did kind of a similar thing. Only I promoted it for about 2 weeks, and I got I ended up I think I was getting 1 or 2 signups a day during the course. But that was after I'd been emailing that list daily for a year too. Yeah. So this is your list is a little cold probably.
Yeah, it is. I'm hoping to warm it up, and I have no illusions that I'm going to lose people as I warm it up, right? Because once they start getting more email, they're going to be some are just going to be like, this is way too much, and just unsubscribe.
Yeah.
But my intention is to definitely pull that together. And I'll probably be talking about getting hired for the next few weeks. In fact, I may just tell him I'm going to be sending out emails about getting hired for the next few weeks, and then I'm going to switch over to development tools and automation.
That's
and
a
then
good
I'll
idea.
switch over, and that way I can let them know, hey, look, these are the next handful of topics that I plan to cover. And so don't feel like, I'm just peppering you with a whole bunch of information you don't want. Eventually I'll get around to something you're interested in.
Right.
That might be a good way for us to create a course, Josh, is to pick a topic and make it a live course, like a webinar type of course. And then with Q&A, kind of like I'm doing with the live streams on YouTube, we could even use YouTube live streams to do it, and then record it, and then release it afterwards too, because then you'd have the scarcity for the live version of it, but then you could have that, and then it's real easy preparation because it's just like talking on the spot about whatever the subject is for that. Maybe have a couple of slides, maybe not even have the slides, and then a lot of Q&A about that specific topic.
Yeah, I'd be 100% on board with that. I think that's a good way to go. I did mine. It was kind of like that, only the way I did mine was I had 4 scheduled webinars. So it was like every Monday I'd release a new 1-hour lecture, and then I had to create it the week before, and I had slides for it and everything. And then I would just record it, and it wasn't live, but it felt live.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, But I like the idea of doing it just sort of live on the spot.
Yeah.
And you could actually charge a lot more. Like what we could do would be have like $1,000 price point. Like we could do this with the real estate course.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
One way to do it would be to take. So we have all the videos already. If we're gonna launch that and do $1,000 version of it, we could do 4 weekly sessions where you basically just cover all the same material, and then people are able to do the Q&A thing.
Yeah.
And then we'd package that up with the existing videos when we sell it. Everybody would get access to the existing videos, and but then that way it brings in that higher price point. So
exactly. Yeah. It's a good way just to create content, because there's a lot of ones I was thinking about, like overcoming fears and stuff like that.
Yes.
And maybe overcoming laziness. And it's not a huge commitment. Like, once a week I'm doing like a live stream talking about the subject, minimal preparation, because these are topics that I can talk about all day long. And I just pick a subtopic of that, or different, 5 steps, or whatever it is. And then we do Q&A on that afterwards. And that might be a good way to build some courses that are real easy to get out.
Yeah, I love that. I would love to do that.
Okay.
So it makes the scarcity thing. Well, and we can also use that to drive the membership signups too, because we have a higher price point. We can say, well, this is going to cost $500. If you're a member, you can get in for $299 or whatever.
Right, exactly.
And then we drive an annual membership off of that.
Yep. Yeah.
So Chuck stepped away. Empty chair.
So I did another live stream last night. Let's take our shirts off and talk about.
Okay, nice.
And, that one.
Are you doing those every week now?
I've got it scheduled for every Thursday at 8:00. So my time. So I've been doing I've done it 3 weeks in a row. But I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna do it. I mean, at least for now, I'm doing it on a weekly basis. It seems to be working out really well. A lot of people are watching. The videos themselves are getting 3,000 to 4,000 views, in all, and there's usually about 200 people on live. So it's good. So and the watch time on that is really lengthy.
Yeah.
So, if I do one of those a week, it's really gonna put some lift on the YouTube channel. So it's probably worth it doing for now. Plus, it's fun, so I don't mind doing it. So
yeah, nice.
How do you organize that? Do you just go live, or do you announce it, or how do you work that out with going live?
On the live panel for YouTube, you can specify a topic, or you can specify the title of it, and then you can say, let's see, they've got a.
I do that all the time. I'm just wondering, do you announce it beforehand?
There's a checkbox for schedule next stream.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, and if you check that, you can put what the time is, right? And the date, and then it'll show up on people's YouTube subscriptions showing that, that Simple Programmer will be live at 8 p.m. tonight.
Oh, nice.
And so that works. Also, once you go live, it will send an email to your subscribers that says that you're
nice.
live.
Okay.
So
We could also do that. We could send out emails to the list.
yeah, we could also send out emails to the list. I haven't been doing it. I haven't, because I didn't want to necessarily commit to it yet. But yeah, we could do that and let people know ahead of time, especially if I have a regular schedule for doing it. So
That's a good plan. Yeah, I was just, I'm going to go live right now, and then I get 2 people watching. So I'm just wondering.
yeah, I got like I think last night around 200 or so on the stream. So, but then the videos always afterwards get a ton of views afterwards. So, like the one from last night has 1K views on it already. So,
nice.
And the good thing is, like I was telling Josh, is the watch time on it is really high because people watch through a lot of it. Like, and it's like an hour. Like the one from last night was an hour and 21 minutes. So that's a pretty good amount of watch time that gets accrued through that. So
right. Yeah, I think the conferences have been the thing that have helped my YouTube channel the most.
It's funny though. I'm looking at the live streams and I'm like, it's also a good. I've been doing it weekly. Let's take our shirt off and talk about. And it's like a progression. I'm like, damn, I'm definitely making progress. I'm getting way more ripped. Like if you look at the first one versus the second to the third one, it's like it's definite progress there. So that's pretty cool too. But plus this is going to be really good for, I mean, the more of these I do, when we do put out that fitness program, it's going to be it's going to sell pretty easy because it's like I can't bullshit. Like it's you're watching me live. Like I couldn't have made this up or recorded this ahead of time and you can see the progress. So yeah,
you're gonna start talking like Arnold.
So the other thing that I gotta so I'll be right back. I gotta show you something real quick.
I don't know.
He's going to take his shirt off.
I really don't know what's coming here. So
as long as he doesn't make me take my shirt off.
Oh, I think I know what this is.
So I think I talked about this last week.
Yeah, I know what this is.
But I got.
Oh, nice.
So I did a video with the shirt, and then I put it in our store already, so people can buy Video Begins That shirt. It's kind of cool. Like I'd like to get that. I mean, we need some like inside, and people picked up on it, right? So even now, some of the latest videos I've done, people are putting Video Begins at 00 in there. So it's like I said, it's that sign of that solidarity. I'd like to hashtag that and get that going, but. It's sort of like in order to build a good tribe, you need to have a couple of inside type of, things that people in the know, like what it's something that, so this could be that if we get enough momentum on that. And I think doing the shirt, it kind of solidifies that, and we'll see how much momentum we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how many people buy that shirt based on that, because that will be a real good sign of how many people want to be part of the tribe, and that's that connection to it. So. Yeah, so I think I priced the shirt at like $22, just the same as the Trusted Process shirt. So I think that should be about fine on that. So
I am wearing a Trusted Process shirt.
All right, nice.
I think I have mine on today too. My sweatshirt, but
that's funny. That shirt actually, it's I was just watching one of Brandon Carter's videos, and he's got like 700,000 or 800,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he had a Trusted Process shirt on. It was it was cool. So that I sent one to Bob Martin, or I sent him the redemption code. I don't know if he used it yet, because I just interviewed him on the channel. But pretty much I'm trying to, anytime I have a big guest on, I'm trying to send them a shirt, or if I meet someone that has a big following, because it's a nice enough shirt that like people wear it, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's the only branded shirt that I wear. So
yeah.
Did you talk to Bob about the political crap that's
Oh, yeah.
going on around him, or did
That-
you?
that
talk
was-
to
I
him
think that
about-
was the only thing they talked
That,
about.
that was mostly
I
what
was
we
wondering if
talked
you were
about.
talking about code or talking about politics. So
No, we spent most of the time talking about the social justice warriors and the fallback that he had. And then we spent the rest of the time talking about his clean architecture book. So, but yeah, it'll be real interesting to see. He's probably going to get even more blowback now from going on my podcast and my show and talking about it. But yeah, we'll see. But I'll take a brunt of it because I definitely take a stronger stance than he does, right? You know, like I think he was mentioned in the interview that he was at a conference and he had a picture of Grace Hopper on there with one of the hats that they wore back then, and she said, and he said something like, look at her with her little hat, right? And that some woman was really offended that he said with her little hat. And I was like, and I told Bob, I was like, yeah, and he said that he apologized and he realized that it was wrong and whatnot. And I was like, Bob, I gotta kind of push back on this one, buddy. I gotta be like, yeah, I don't think you did anything wrong at all. Like, I understand, the perspective, but come on, like intent is really what, like we need to start judging people by their intent. Like when you said it, I mean, someone could say it and say, look at her with her little hat, I mean, and mean it that way. But it's very clear, like intent is very, very clear when, in most cases, right? In some cases, maybe not, but it's very clear that the intent was not to belittle someone. It was just to make a statement. So. But yeah, we talked about quite a bit about because he got like DDoS on his server and all that
stuff go on.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, he pointed out. I thought he was being very gracious, but he pointed out some of the political blowback he was getting and basically asked if I still wanted him to speak at Ruby Dev Summit. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's funny. It's ridiculous, but yeah.
Yeah.
PodWrench is going down.
And I mean, it's been crazy what he's had to go through for this.
Yeah, the pendulum is swinging the other way, though.
Yeah, it is starting to.
It is. People are enough fed up with this, and things have gotten enough ridiculous that, I mean, they're still ridiculous, but the ridiculous people have gotten so off the farm.
It's become a self-parody, really.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, the Josh sent me this link about corn pops, about them pulling off the because there's like a dark corn pop.
Okay, so this was funny. So Kellogg releases a cereal box with, apparently this was all over social media. So Kellogg's releases a cereal box, and on the back they have the picture of a mall, and there's like all these little corn pops, and they're doing all kinds of stuff, and they're sliding down the banisters and riding slides, and and then there's one guy who's using there's one who's got a floor polisher. He's dressed like a janitor, and it's brown. That was the only brown corn pop on the whole box.
He was barely brown. It was like
I figured out what happened. So I used to do print production. Okay, the janitor corn pop was over a red background, and the bleed through of the red. I'm positive this is what happened. I think it was the bleed through of the red just darkened the yellow enough that it looked like slightly brown, and people went bananas. And Kellogg's had to apologize. And it's like, if they did that on purpose, that's one thing. I guarantee you that the bleed through thing, that I'm almost positive that's what happened. And I guarantee you that no one meant anything offensive by it to begin with. Right. And to go and apologize for that is ridiculous. And you're just inviting more of that behavior. What they should have done is made a joke out of it.
Right.
Really.
Exactly.
And, like, just like, this is ridiculous. This is what happened. No, we're not apologizing,
Right.
Sorry, exactly. You can go be offended if you want to.
Yeah.
Because it just feeds it otherwise.
Yeah. But on the other hand, like I said, it does make the pendulum swing back the other way, because then normal, rational people see this, or even people that are slightly, radicalized And they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I'm not that radical. Sorry, I'm gonna have to step back a little bit, right? Because, so yeah, you're right. It becomes a self-parody, but I think more. Well, the thing is, like, especially like I told Bob, like at the interview, I was like, this is kind of a good thing, like even though because people saw this happen to you, and then they realize what the bullying, like, because these social justice warriors, they rely on bullying tactics, and like, and what they're relying on is the fact that someone will, that they can get away with this, that they can bully and backbite and talk about people behind their back and shame people, and that person, what they're relying on is that person will make a choice and say, you know what, I'm just going to apologize and cower to them because I don't want, because the price of my career is not worth it. Like, I'm not, someone else can fight this battle. Right. And that's, it's like the copyright, the people that I pursue litigation for ridiculous, for frivolous lawsuits for copyright. And then you're just like, well, fuck it. I don't like, I'm not going to fight this thing. So it's the same type of thing. And so when it happens to a public figure like that, and Bob Martin, you know, stands up to it to some degree, I think that makes a difference, and it shows people what's going on, so that they know, like, hey, look, this is how, like, is this how we're operating? Is like we're shaming people, and we're like going behind their back, and like, you know, bullying people in order to push this agenda, right? Because or are we having logical discussions and actually deciding these things out in the open in public and treating people like human beings, right? And that's the big issue. It's like I don't even care if people agree or disagree with me. It's like, but you know what, we the back alley, like shivving someone in the back alley is not the way that you like get your point across. That like that's not how it works. It's not civilized society. Like, you know, the ends don't justify the means. It's just ridiculousness. So
yeah, well, the other thing is that just because I don't like somebody or don't like what they say about one thing doesn't make them wrong on everything.
Right. Yeah.
And so, you know, that's the thing that gets me is, you know, it's like, look, you know, make a case, you know, I mean, if you're, because I mean, they went after like previous clients of his and the whole 9 yards.
Oh,
and it's like, I'm like, you know what? Why all the personal attacks? Is it because you can't, you know, legitimately, you know, refute his case? Or, you know, are you just, because the rest of it, it's just, you're either a jerk, or, you know, that's the only way that you can find to discredit his argument is to discredit him, in which case you're not discrediting his argument, you're discrediting your own because you can't bring forward any real evidence.
Right.
So anyway, this is not where we should be going with this show, but anyway, it's interesting, you know, and we all deal with it. So
yeah. But so what else? I'm trying to think what else was new. Obviously, you can hear from my speaking that I got Invisalign.
Actually, I can't tell.
You can't?
No, I haven't been able to tell.
The biggest thing is that my tongue is getting cut, so it's making it difficult to speak. Because other than that,
what do you mean your tongue is getting cut? Like
there's sharp edges on the inside. Maybe I can get it filed down or something, or maybe I just need to fucking toughen up. But I think over time it will. Like if I just ignore it, my tongue will toughen up and it won't matter. So
I had braces when I was a teenager, and I could never get away with anything because my dad is the dentist orthodontist that put them on.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
But yeah, I remember them being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I did.
It was also convenient because, we can't get you in right now, so I'll just bring the stuff home and we'll change the bands in the kitchen.
Nice. Yeah, I did some consults. I ended up going with Invisalign. Like I went to an orthodontist, and of course he wanted to do braces, but like it's just so hard with the video and stuff. So the Invisalign is not the perfect solution. But you know, when it came back when they did the projections for the Invisalign, it came back pretty damn close to like perfect. So I've got like 34 trays, so I've got to do like almost a year, but like maybe 3/4 of a year of this, and then
what's the cost on that?
Well, so it's really weird. Like, I think I'm paying $6,500 or no, 6,000, about $6,000, but that includes Invisalign treatment plus braces. So to actually, like, if I do jaw surgery to bring the jaw forward to correct the overbite, which and then bring in the but if I don't do it, it's just the Invisalign. So it's kind of weird because, like, the braces treatment was like $6,100, but the Invisalign plus the braces was slightly less. So I was like, well, I might as well do the Invisalign plus the braces, and then I might not do the braces depending on the result that I get. But I think normally, like, Invisalign is around $4,500. Like, it depends in the area. But that's about what most, unless it's like a half treatment, then it's less. Like, it depends on how long the duration is, but it's somewhere between like $3,000 and $5,000 on average, I think. So it's pretty affordable, I think, for considering the benefits that you get for it. So
cool.
Yeah.
So I got my my healthcare renewal rates this week. With this prompted an angry tirade to John over Slack. so my
I've had this fight. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I went. Well, I have an interesting. I'm not just venting here. There's something that listeners might be interested in exploring. So So last year last year I was on a silver level plan, and I was paying like around $800 to $900. It was like almost $900 a month. Then last year I got my renewal rate, and they said, "Oh, we're increasing the price from $900 to $1,100." And I was like, "That's too much." So I dropped back down. I dropped back down to the next level silver plan, which was the one with the crappy network and the really high deductible, and that was at like $880. So basically back to where I was, only my coverage was worse. So this year we had a couple of things that I had to pay out of pocket. We ended up paying, I think this year it was somewhere between 12 and 14% of my income went to pay for a useless healthcare plan, and then cash to cover all the stuff that the healthcare plan wouldn't cover.
Because you hadn't met your deductible?
Yes, because our deductible was $7,000 for the family and $3,500 per individual. So yeah, good. Like, unless you have something really major happen, you're going to be paying, you can shell out a lot of money that way.
So just a quick note, if it's that much, $3,500 per individual and $7,500 for the family, and you don't meet the deductible, it wouldn't have made any difference if it were $20,000 per individual and $50,000 for the family. Right. I mean, they don't have a plan like that, but
exactly.
But the one I'm on, which is grandfathered, but is $10,000 per individual and like $20,000 for the family, or maybe $15,000 for the family. Exactly. So, and this is like the logic people don't understand about this. Like
right. Like we did like a couple. We do a couple. What do? We do a couple of well child visits a year, and then like our kids rough house and they get hurt, so we have various things like that we have to pay for, but that all ends up we have to pay for that out of pocket. So this year I got my renewal, and they said $880 was what you paid last year. This year next year it's gonna be $1,097. So basically back up to $1,100. Like, blew a gasket. Another 30% price increase on me, for which, if it were a reasonable plan where I was not paying all this out of pocket, that would be one thing. It would still suck, but it would be one thing. But the fact that it's basically I'm forced to pay this, and the coverage is essentially useless to me, that's what, just those two things together just really, really steam me up. So I'm gonna look at the actual, like, I'll have access to all the rates in like next week when it's November, and I'll be able to see, because they're shuffling a bunch of stuff around, and I might end up going with one of the bronze plans. But John put me in touch with the National Association of
Self-Employed.
NASE.org, and I got I fill out their form. I got a call from them, and the lady I talked to was like, well, so what you can do is there's an option here. The option is private insurance. So basically, private insurance is you're basically off the grid. Like, you're not compliant with the Obamacare individual mandate, and so you could be subject to. So she's telling me, yeah, you could be you're not in compliance, and you could be subject to the fine. And I'm like, that's kind of a selling point for me. I'm like, that's not a deal breaker. That's kind of a selling point. I kind of would like to give them a finger at this point. Yeah. So basically, I don't know what the rates are going to be. So I'm going to meet with her after I get my rates from my current insurer so I can compare. I suspect that but I think we'll be able to get something that covers me like what John has. What I want is basically, I want the black swan insurance where something really bad happens and I don't want to be wiped out financially. I don't want to lose my money in my 401k, have them trying to come after Simple Programmer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to be covered in case something really bad happens, and that is all. Yeah. And I want to take whatever money I would have paid and I want to put that in savings. And then I will just pay out of pocket, and within a couple of years, I'll have a nice little buffer, and I'll be self-insured effectively. That is what I want. That is how insurance should work. So there's this option called private insurance for anybody out there who's self-employed and hasn't looked into this. It might be worth looking into. I think that I'm going to probably be able to get something I'm going to guess and say probably maybe half. I might be able to save several $100s a month that I can just put into savings every month. Yeah. Instead of paying, I'm paying close to $12,000 a year for a product that I can't use. I told my wife, it's like, I'm being forced to pay the lease on, like a Tesla that I never get to drive.
Not only that, but you can't even deduct it from your taxes. I mean, this is the most ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous part of this is that you can't reduce or deduct the $12,000 a year you're paying. I mean, it's an expense that you're paying. So
well, essentially what it is you're paying the lease on the Tesla, but you can't use the Tesla until you drop another $10,000 on putting in the right power adapter to charge the thing up. And next year they're changing the adapter, so you have to do it all over again.
Apple. Yeah.
Right? What you're actually doing though is you're just subsidizing other people. That's what you're doing. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So
but the other thing is the penalty, the Obamacare penalty is, I can't remember. It's like $2,000 or
no. It's actually so I looked into that. That's what I thought too. And I think when they first,
it's small.
No, it is actually when they first instituted it, it was like $1,500. Now what it is whichever is greater, 2.5% of your income, or the cost of the full cost for the year of a bronze plan. Which it's so tricky the way they've set this up. So the bronze plans, there's only like a 10% difference between all the levels. So it's like bronze last year, bronze was like $700 or $650, and then the next level up was only was $880. So it's like, but the coverage difference was a huge gulf. Like the deductible was even higher to go down to the bronze. So it made no sense at all. Like, it was stupid. You'd only save like a few $100 a year by going with the bronze. So so for me, the penalty, if I do this, in theory, the penalty would be somewhere in the neighborhood of probably $10,000 to $12,000. However, it's considered a non-collectible tax. They can only collect it if you get a tax refund. Well, guess who doesn't get tax refunds? Pretty much every self-employed person ever does not get a tax refund.
So they can only collect that $10,000 or $12,000 if you get a tax refund?
Yeah, they can withhold. No, they can only withhold the money that you would have gotten as a tax refund. I'm not an accountant. I don't play one on TV. I'm not a lawyer, but that is my understanding.
That's interesting. Yeah. So we thought the same thing. I actually don't have health insurance right now, which is crazy stupid. I'm diabetic, right?
Yeah. You might want to look into this too, because if it's, you can get something that, and my understanding is that the private insurance is like, they're licensed insurers, they're underwritten, it's legit, but it's just not compliant with Obamacare.
Right.
So they're not subject to, the problem with Obamacare is that they mandate all of the things that they have to cover. And so I'm paying for a lot of stuff that I don't want, basically.
Right. So if we're not going to have any kids and we've, taken measures one way or the other to
Exactly.
make sure we're not going to have any kids, we still, under Obamacare, have to have maternity.
Yeah. Yep.
Or even more ludicrous, my father-in-law isn't married,
Right.
has no intention of marrying. He has maternity insurance. I told him if he got pregnant that I wanted to know as soon as the insurance company knew. But
Arnold
that's a separate
Schwarzenegger
issue.
would have benefited from that, right? He's about the only person I can think of in that situation.
But anyway, another thing that we've looked into is the MetaShare setup.
Yeah, I've considered that as well, but I don't think I'm going to do it because those actually, I think you are considered.
Those are
compliance
Obamacare compliant.
Yeah, but the savings is actually not that great. So like I looked at it, and it would cost us $400 a month to have a $10,000 deductible plan.
Yeah, that's essentially what it looks like.
But which I would do if it was regular insurance. But there's also like, there's no guarantee that they're going to pay for anything. So, and I've heard, I Googled around a little bit, and I found some people that were saying like, just, you're always going to find this, but there's enough horror stories out there of people who like, didn't, they just everything kept getting rejected. They never, and they paid their doctor late, and they were getting sent to collections and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not comfortable going down that path.
Yeah.
It would be like if you had nothing, like in your situation, it's probably not such a bad idea. It's at least something.
The issue is that it's $400, but then they make you pay an extra $100 a month.
Oh,
if you're
right.
overweight or if you have pre-existing condition like I do with the diabetes.
Yeah.
And they assign you a health coach and all this stuff. And that completely turned my wife off because she's overweight. And so, we'd have to pay that for both of us.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want somebody nagging me about this. And so anyway, the private insurance might work out. Ultimately, I'd like to have something, but yeah, essentially it's, I had a heart attack. I didn't bankrupt the family. I mean, that's what I want for my insurance.
Yes. Yep.
Right. That's the purpose of insurance.
Right.
Insurance is only to guard. Insurance is a financial instrument that is designed to be a hedge. Right.
Yes.
That's the only thing that it is designed
it's
to be.
Protecting your downside.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's you're paying a premium. It's like an option. It's the same rationality. You're paying a premium in order to not suffer catastrophic loss, right? So, you should never ever buy insurance for anything that you could pay for that would not cause you more trouble making that payment, right? So that's why it's like, should you get insurance when you buy something from Best Buy, electronics from Best Buy, buy a TV? No. It doesn't make sense, right? Because unless you're living paycheck to paycheck, and breaking that TV would cost you so much money that like you wouldn't be able to pay your rent, in which case you shouldn't buy the TV in the first place. But that's how insurance is supposed to work. That's the idea, the mechanism behind insurance. If you're using it in any other way, you're just being ripped off.
What people are doing now is basically prepaid healthcare.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's cost sharing and not insurance.
Right.
Yeah. But essentially, I mean, when it comes right down to it, I mean, everybody's situation is different. The insurance mostly made sense for us because it came with prescription coverage, and my prescriptions, of course, I'm off most of them now because I've been doing the keto diet, and my blood sugar's low enough to where if I take my medicine, it makes me ill. That made a lot of sense because we were about paying out what we would have paid out for the medication anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But, at this point, with my health where it is, and then my son has ADHD and his medication is expensive, but he's been doing this therapy that my mom paid for, and that's been helping him out. He hasn't been on his medication for a couple of months either. At this point, I just want something there, in case something catastrophic happens. Or in case, I start cheating on keto big time and my blood sugar start rising again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think this is probably, I don't know. There's going to come a tipping point here with this too, because the deductibles are just getting, every year the deductibles go higher and higher, and it's to the point now where it's useless unless you're on the people that are on a subsidized plan are very happy, but that's a very small number of people, and everybody else is paying through the nose for coverage they can't use. So
well, and that's the other thing that I keep hearing is even from people who are quote unquote poor, what they're paying for their insurance, it makes it impossible for them to afford to pay out of pocket to reach their deductible.
Right. Exactly.
So it's hurting way more people than it's helping at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I'm pretty sure though that we're not going to have a problem, at least from the tax perspective of the new Trump tax laws when they tax changes when they come into effect. I think that we're not going to see the ACA tax on there, the penalty.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be completely gone.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean we're diving way off into politics
again.
Yeah, but when we're talking about the tax changes, I mean, that does affect us to some degree insofar as they change the tax rate and change the way we withhold. But I'd rather have an accountant talk to us about that. One thing that is interesting too, though, since we're talking about healthcare, is the associations. We should pull together an Entre Programmers Association so that we can get the across state lines insurance together as a group.
Interesting.
Just something like that. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what options come available over the next year and just what we can do with that. So,
yeah. Yep. It's, but you just have to deal with this kind of crap. So,
Yep. You got to out earn it. It's pretty much guaranteed. And, so that's what I'm focused on. It's frustrating because I'm I'm at the point where I'm kind of like the mouse. It's, like trying not to drown in the bucket. Right. And I'm like, I can see the rim and I can almost grab it. And then, something like this is like, boom, nope, you're not going anywhere, buddy.
Well, and I did this video on this a while back on the whole Obamacare thing. And I was talking about like the idea that if you're significantly wealthy, like let's say you're making $1 million a year, Obamacare doesn't fucking matter. Because if you pay $3,000 a month for your health care, you just get 100% insurance plan. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like who cares? Like that's such a small amount of your income. Right. So it doesn't even matter. The people it hurts are the people that are making it from 100K to the $1 million a year level, right? That's the people. It makes their steps up the ladder. It removes those steps from the ladder. It makes it very difficult for them to climb that ladder. So it really creates more of a class division, right? And some people say, oh, well, people making $100,000 a year, they're rich. They're not rich.
Yeah,
they're the ones that can hit the heaviest burden you can possibly get from everything in society is to be in that gap.
That's
right?
That's what my wife and I have talked about this, but basically like where we are right now is we're basically like we're not hurting. Like we have what we need to cover our needs, but basically we have just barely just enough to kind of cover our needs. Plus some things like I have a giving target and a saving target.
Right.
We basically make enough to cover all of that and no more. So but when I increase my income even just a little bit above that, it's like all on the top.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like that's all marginal. That's like a margin that I'm giving myself. So that's actually like an extra $1,000 a month for me at this point is huge because it's coming over and above my basic needs.
Exactly. So, but the solution is always like you said. In fact, this is a good thought for the week, which is that as far as like you're whenever you're in a bad situation, you can bitch and whine about it, and you can try and optimize it, or you can try and save money, or you can or you can just like beat it by out earning, right? Like the solution to taxes, the solution to stupid healthcare premiums is to make a lot more money, is to increase your value, because everything that you do to fight it, like you can do some things to fight it, it's true, and like you can figure out loopholes and whatnot, and I mean to some degree, like it makes sense to do that to a rational level, but and this doesn't just apply to this, but anything in life, it's like effort that you spend to quote save money or to like prevent disaster or like to fight against shitty situations is effort that that has a one-time effect. Like it doesn't get you a long-term benefit. Not really, right? You know what I mean? But increasing your income, building something, making more money, it solves not this problem only, but future problems, right? Because like I said, if you make $1 million a year, none of these problems are a problem for you. I mean, you can still whine and bitch about them if you want to, but if you get to that level, you're not going to have these problems. Not that, you know, everyone is going to make $1 million a year, but I'm just saying that, like, a lot of times in life, like, we're stuck with the situation of, like, you know, some bad thing happens, and then sometimes it's so much better to just like not even fight the bad thing, but just to go after a good thing instead, because your energy is better spent that way. Plus, it's a lot more pleasant to like to out earn it, you know, rather than to fight the thing. So yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, I just worry about the people who haven't put themselves in a position to out earn it within a reasonable amount of time. I mean, you know, you still got to do something, you know, so you do everything you can.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, but that's a more effective, right? I mean, would it be better to, so I mean, think about it this way, like, just in that situation, is it better to try and save $1,000 a month, like, you know, or to fight that, or to just earn $1,000 a month so it doesn't matter, right? So, you know, that's, I think, if you look at the long-term benefits of that, like if you save $1,000 a month, yes, you're saving $1,000 a month. It's true. I totally understand that. But if you earn $1,000 a month, usually whatever you do that earns that $1,000 a month will actually appreciate and grow in value. So like if you produce a new line of business or something, or some way, like that $1,000 a month in a year, maybe it's $1,500 a month, or maybe it's $2,000 a month, and that can grow. So it has a much better, plus the attitude, right? In order to save $1,000 a month, you're gonna like fight, and you're gonna be angry and grumpy, and it's a bitch. But when you earn $1,000 a month, it's a great ride. You know what I mean? It's not like there's not hard work, but you're gonna put hard work in either way. I'd rather put the hard work into something that actually creates value in the world and benefits people. It makes me feel better, right? Because the situation is the situation. So
when you do that, when you go with the penny pinching route, not that you shouldn't necessarily do that, but your upside is limited to whatever the most you can scrape together, right? The upside is limited to $1,000. If you develop a new skill and sell that for $1,000, well, like John said, you know, that could be worth $10,000 a month, you know, to you, with a little bit more thoughtful application of it. So your upside is not bounded on that.
And I'll give you a perfect example of this, right? So my mother has Parkinson's, right? And so I really like my dad can really just take care of her all day. Like, it's crazy. It's full-time care and stuff. So I needed to hire someone to help out. So I needed to pay them like $2,000 a month to like basically do care, like to come into the house and do care for my mom. And so like that's $2,000 a month. Where's that $2,000 a month going to come from? So I said, well, you know what? I can open up a coaching slot and I offer to do coaching. So I find a coaching client that I coach them for $2,000 a month, and then that's paid for, right? And not only that, when I start doing that, then other people want to do coaching. So I end up making maybe $3,000 or $4,000 a month. And so, you see what I'm saying? And so it's so much better, because now I don't think, oh wow, crap, I got to pay this money. Like I think, okay, well, it's like I figured out a way to make the money to be able to pay the thing, and it's better. And now look at all the benefits that accrue. It's like my mom gets the care, my dad gets the relief that he needs to some degree. Someone gets good coaching services, they get value, right? And it doesn't take a huge amount of time. So it's just a better leverage point than the alternative, which would be to just like say, oh, like I guess the alternative would be that I could figure out some way to not pay $2,000 a month, or to find someone who could work for cheaper for the care, or like, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of a good example of it. But
yep, no, that makes total sense. And for me, you know, we're talking about this idea of out earning and, you know, and creating this value. And to me, it's, I've become much more this way over the last few years, but just, you know, putting it in my control, right? And I still struggle with this victim mentality. And then I realize that I'm playing the victim game and it pisses me off. It's like, why am I playing so small? And but ultimately it's, if I don't take control of the situation, right? If I don't put myself in a position where I'm making these decisions and doing what I need to do in order to do it, it's not going to automatically or magically somehow happen for me.
Right.
I guess it could, but the odds aren't that great. Everybody else is out there trying to make their own way. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not selfish of them. It's just the way it is. And so if I want things to be a certain way, then I have to go out and I have to make them that way.
Yep.
And so, looking at the healthcare situation and things like that, I personally can't go change the law. I don't have that power, right? But I can choose what kind of a position I'm in so that it is or isn't a problem, or so that the problem is dealt with in the right way.
Chuck, if you open a compound out there in Utah and declare yourself a sovereign state, I might be out there.
Some people think that that's what Mormons do out here anyway. But yeah, I mean, ultimately that's how it is. So, you look at it and ideally, I wouldn't have to deal with this healthcare drama, and, I wouldn't have to worry about paying for all this stuff. But since I can't change that, what can I change? And yeah, it's my income. It's putting myself in a position to just do what I need to do. And so if, I can play the victim, and sometimes I even feel better playing the victim, but eventually I feel worse. So, it really is just a matter of, okay, I got to suck it up and I've just got to do it. It's this same thing. I had 7 or 8 people sign up for this get a job course, and I feel like I need to deliver it to them. So despite you guys' insistence that I not do the course, I've decided to do it anyway because I feel like I need to keep my word. But in the end, right, it's down to how I feel about it. And, I could play the victim and, I don't really want to do this and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's where it's at. And so I can either get in, get it done, and get, and suck it up and do it. I can stay up late and write code against Podwrench, or, I can step back and I can just sit there and go, well, gee, I don't know why some of these sponsors are mad at me. Right. Because I wasn't keeping close enough track, because I don't like doing that either. And then, oh my goodness, I didn't deliver everything I said I would. Or I can take control of it. And that for me, it's just not worth the other, right? We have people out here who, they complain about their kids' lifestyles and how they don't agree with them. And it's the same thing, right? It's like, look, well, you just kind of expected that they grow up into what you think are reasonable people. And I'm sorry, but if you don't teach them how to live, then they're not gonna, quote unquote live right. And they're still gonna make their own decisions anyway. But if you don't put in the effort, you're definitely not going to get what you want. And so, step in, take control. I mean, not everything's going to work out the way you want, but dang it, if you want something to go a certain way, you've got to take control. You've got to own it, because if you don't take extreme ownership of it, it's not going to be what you want.
Nice.
Rant over.
So one thing I've been thinking a lot about this week, and I think this might have come out of John's thought from last week, or one of his videos that I watched or something. And it's basically about, I want to become the kind of guy who just keeps trying doors, right? Like, okay, that one didn't work. I tried that didn't work. Okay, I learned something, I move on. I try that one didn't work. And I realized that I kind of do this to an extent, but then what happens is I start to worry that I'm going to run out of doors. And it's like the scarcity mentality. It's kind of subtle. So you start to limit yourself, and you get to be afraid to try things, not because you're afraid to fail so much, but more because you're afraid that if you fail, you don't know what to do next.
Right.
And I'm trying to retrain my thought here to be like, there is no limit to the number of doors. It's sort of the Thomas Edison thing where he tried, I forget how many different ways he tried to make the light bulb, and he kept coming up with more. And he was never afraid to try the next one, thinking that he'd be out of ideas. And I mean, I've never really run out of ideas, but I worry that I will. and I hold myself back a lot because of that. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, we all do that. And it's funny because, yeah, we think the pie is just so big. And, you know, we don't think about what's outside of the crust that might be just as palatable.
It's funny. I was just on the live stream. I was talking about the idea that like your brain is the most biologically advanced thing in the entire universe that we know of, right? Like, think about it. Your brain, even if you have an IQ of 90, it's still the most biologically advanced piece of technology that exists in the universe. And so, if you're like, you can't help but learn. Like, if you just, all you have to do is have a goal, and if you just keep on trying shit, your brain will learn whether you like it or not. Like, there's no way that doesn't. Like, I mean, driving a car is an extremely complicated thing, especially driving a stick. Yet, how many people like learn how to do this and do it while they're listening to an audiobook, or not even paying attention, just subconsciously doing all of these complicated mechanisms, judging speed, right? And your brain like learns that because you assume you're going to. And so I was thinking about the same thing about like failure, and it's so, if you but you have to just trust that that's going to happen, right? Which is just like, that's the whole opening all these doors is like, you just know, if as long as you keep on opening the doors, your brain, like, it's whether you like it or not, your brain's automatically going to like course correct and steer you to the right direction eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It just might take a lot of doors.
All right, guys.
All right, cool. See you guys next week.
Alrighty.
Yep. In 2 weeks, I should be on, but I'm not 100% sure because I'm going to be, not 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm going to be in New York City.
Okay.
New York City.
John just dated himself there.
All right.
Alrighty. See ya.
See ya.